Hello, and this is Harris at SquishiVision reacting to Tales of a Jedi, which is a new animated series that's meant to be exploring the backstory of at least several Jedi. I'm not quite sure where it's set chronologically. I don't know if it's an anthology series or a series. I haven't read that much into it, but I know we're going to see a younger Dooku, we're going to see a younger Qui-Gon, possibly a younger Obi-Wan, possibly a younger Yoda. I think there's Ahsoka in this as well, possibly, which also means it probably is an anthology series, or at least on the bounces around time like a couple of bits. I don't know. How about we find out? Let's go straight into the reaction to this trailer. That was a really weird phrasing what I was meant to say, but you know what I meant to mean.
Everywhere there is life.
I also don't know why there's subtitles in this. It's not. It's why it's burned into the video.
Face death. Honor it. Do not fear it. Jedi. Ahsoka is Jedi.
The best way I can protect you is to teach you how to protect yourself.
Master Dooku.
I want to bring peace and order to the galaxy.
Master, stop!
It is the only way you will truly have victory.
My Padawan. Again. Again.
Dooku, stand down.
I'm tired of fighting.
I've been warning them about the coming darkness.
Let's hope all that training pays off.
And who might you be?
Right, well, I guess there's a lot of things to dig into this. So let's go bit by bit.
There is light.
Oh, okay. I think who's Palpatine? Okay, got you. Thanks, Google.
But you must
So this is a funeral. I
face.
want to say this is Naboo, that's Armadillo, because that looks like exactly the same kind of thing we see at the end of Revenge of the Sith, but not 100% sure.
Death.
And then this is obviously Dooku in front of the tree that we've seen a bunch of times. That's in the Jedi courtyard.
Honor it. Do not fear it.
And then we see a baby Ahsoka doing, basically showing her force potential by calming down a creature that's about to munch down on her. Or I assume it's going to happen maybe in a U episode where she gets eaten, like, literally, straight away.
Jedi. Ahsoka is Jedi.
So that's someone from Ahsoka's village, realizing she's potential. Here we see what looks like at some point in Ahsoka's early training. Although I'm trying to work out her age here from, because you see Ahsoka doing like several stages of her life, and the way that they do her model is a bit different depending on which part of it it is. And this looks like kind of late Clone Wars Ahsoka, but I think this is actually meant to be early Clone Wars Ahsoka. She has a backward green lightsaber. She hasn't adopted the two lightsaber fighting style yet. I think this is pretty much just early on after Anakin takes her as a Padawan. So there we see a younger Dooku with his Padawan, Qui-Gon, who looks very, very similar to... Actually, both of them look, because I've seen photos. Obviously, my age means that most of my exposure to Christopher Lee is kind of post Star Wars and post Lord of the Rings. Don't know if I've actually... Oh, no, I have seen The Wicker Man. But even The Wicker Man, he's fairly late on. This does resemble a lot of photos I've seen of a kind of a younger Christopher Lee, and that definitely looks like Liam Neeson. I don't think it's too far like before the Clone Wars. I mean, he's a Padawan, so I guess it's probably like what 5-10 years before Phantom Menace. I'm sure if I googled it, I could figure out a better timeline because I'm sure it's already documented at what time Qui-Gon took Obi-Wan as a Padawan.
The best way I can protect you.
So this is something we haven't seen for a long time, which is Anakin wearing his Clone War armor. So if you remember, like for the first, like at least like a lot of the first 2/3 of the Clone Wars, they were wearing this kind of weird armor, Jedi robes, which we haven't seen in live action. And then kind of as we got towards the end of the Clone Wars, they changed it so it resembled a bit more what they were wearing, what we see them wearing in Revenge of the Sith, which is actually more traditional kind of Jedi robes. And also he has kind of his shorter hair rather than the longer hair that he has by the time we get to Revenge of the Sith. So this is probably fairly early on. And actually now I'm seeing those clothes for properly here in this wider shot. This is more like a part of Ahsoka. We see, I can't remember his name now, but that's obviously one of the Jedis who trains younglings at the Jedi Temple. And so he's kind of watching over Ahsoka here.
Is to teach you how to protect yourself.
And this is kind of
Master Dooku.
I want to bring peace and order to the galaxy.
I have to say, whoever's doing the voice for Dooku does sound more like Alan Rickman than Christopher Lee. I don't... Have they released a cast list? Tales of the Jedi. So... They haven't released who's voicing Count Dooku. So I'm not sure, but obviously it was in the Clone Wars. It was Corey Burton who did a pretty decent impersonation of Christopher Lee's very, very distinct voice. I think his voice is so distinct that he's from the Wikipedia articles where his voice is described, yes, known as an actor with a deep, strong voice. So Christopher Lee has a very distinct voice, and Corey Burton does a fantastic job in impersonating Christopher Lee's voice. In fact, Corey Burton actually is the primary voice actor. He's voiced Dooku in pretty much everything that isn't Star Wars Jedi Starfighter, Lego Star Wars The Other Chronicles, Lego Star Wars Droid Tales, and Dooku Jedi Lost. Everything else, the Clone Wars, Battlefront, Bounty Hunter, the main Lego Star Wars, Lego Star Wars 3, yeah, like, excuse me. Basically, there we go. Very distinct. So this doesn't sound like Corey Burton. I'm surprised because I mean Christopher Lee's voice I don't think has kind of. I don't think it's changed like in like 5, 10, 15 years before, what he sounds like. It's very kind of distinct voice that sounds the same for like across the many years. So I don't know why he doesn't sound. Sorry, my audio software cut out. So I don't know why they haven't but this doesn't sound like Corey Burton, or at least, this is Corey Burton trying to sound younger but somehow missing the mark on Alan Rickman. I'm actually kind of disappointed by how not Dooku this sounds.
Master.
So we get a moment here where clearly Dooku is already kind of letting that darker side of his his motivation. Obviously, Dooku's a really interesting character because he only becomes a Sith politically, which I think is a very interesting commentary about people who have good intentions but go the wrong way. So he becomes Sith not because he he wants the power for himself, but he genuinely believes this is the best way to kind of bring authoritarian control to the galaxy. And he actually politically believes a lot in what he does, like whilst Sidious's plans and mechanisms, a lot of that was kind of a means to an end. Here Dooku actually believes a lot of stuff to the point where he kind of doesn't realize he's a tool for a next stage kind of deal. What's interesting is I guess we're going to start to see kind of Dooku's disillusionment with the Jedi Order here, and he's already taking things his own step, already kind of being a bit extreme, to the point where he's actually here assaulting his own Padawan who's trying to intervene. He also sees blue lightsaber, but it's still got kind of a distinct style to it. It's not curved like his Sith lightsaber, but it's got like kind of these curved pommels around it. And that voice you heard was the voice of Michael Richardson, who is an American Irish actor, doing the young Qui-Gon Jinn. And then that, I mean, it's fair, it's two words, Master, stop. I don't really hear. I mean, Liam Neeson smells with a very distinct accent. Liam Neeson's accent is quite distinctively Irish, and it's a very kind of deep Irish accent. You know, I think you can recognize Liam Neeson's voice anywhere. And even like Liam Neeson is kind of just saying, you know, one or two word exclamations, you can distinctly recognize as Liam Neeson. Whereas here, this doesn't sound like, actually, I expect more like, I don't know. This is me gonna attempt to do kind of an impersonation. I suppose, but it's like I expect more like Master, stop. That's my best Liam Neeson impression. But this isn't kind of what I'm getting here. This isn't really this isn't kind of the whole. I'm not getting that kind of. But again, two words. Maybe when we hear more of Michael Richardson as Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn, we'll hear more of that kind of voice. Additionally, Liam Neeson does apparently appear in here as a kind of a more older Liam Neeson, so I guess we're going to kind of see that kind of change.
It is the only way you will truly have victory, my Padawan.
Okay, that's closer. That is closer to Corey Burton's Count Dooku, but it's not. It's not quite there. Still, it's not quite there. It's not. It sounds different. But Christopher Lee's voice hasn't changed like that much. So here we see a slightly, and to credit, he does look a slightly younger Mace Windu. Again, it's unclear who voices Mace Windu in this series. And I think he speaks later on, so we'll wait for that and talk about that
Again.
But here they're facing kind of something. I think, if I'm not mistaken, oh no, I am mistaken. That's a crease in his clothing. I thought that might have been a Padawan braid, which would be interesting considering he's a bald character. Who was? Okay, so Mace Windu's master is a character called Sislin Mer, who I'm not familiar with, but it wasn't Dooku. I think there were more comrades. And so here we see kind of Anakin putting Ahsoka through her paces quite roughly, in a kind of a rough manner. We haven't quite seen in the Clone Wars or in later things. Matt Lanter, who voices Anakin, quite extensively in the animated shows, and Ashley Eckstein reprised their roles here. So here we see her with two lightsabers, which is more kind of what she adopts, I guess, about a third way through the Clone Wars. And basically she's having to practice kind of deflecting shots, and she's being stunned by blows, and then she just wakes up, she has to go for it again, and we see Anakin being quite harsh on her there. Robots attacking Dooku. And actually, no, hang on, let me just backtrack slightly here. Okay, so Dooku doesn't have a beard here, but then he has a beard later on. So we do see it at like different stages of his life. So I guess this is kind of like a bunch of years after that. So it's possible that in here he's gonna have like a much more Corey Burton voice. We also see Windu kind of, and we see what I like about this. Sorry, I'm blabbering. What I like about this is the distinct styles. So obviously we see Dooku's much more kind of fencing-esque fighting style, whilst Windu is much more kind of aggressive in the style that he does.
Stand down.
And then here we see him again have to be kind of stopped by Windu, and so Windu's voice actor hasn't been announced, but that does sound a lot like kind of Samuel L. Jackson's voice. I don't think it probably is Samuel L. Jackson. I think it's more likely Terry C. Carson, who is the primary voice actor of Mace Windu. But then again, I mean, maybe Samuel Jackson's doing a lot for the MCU, so he's already kind of willing to do a whole bunch of things here. But yeah, this is probably more Terrence C. Carson who voices in the Clone Wars. And so we see a kind of a much more, I guess, approachable Dooku here. October 26th, so that's about a month and 10 days. Ahsoka riding a tiger back, and I guess this is whole part of a kind of like, hey, I'm voice sensitive, I can like tame animals. Here we see Bail Organa, who again hasn't had his voice actor announced, but assuming that it's probably not Jimmy Smits, then it's likely to be Phil Lamar, who voices Bail Organa in the Clone Wars and Rebels. And I think that was meant to be Ponda Baba, who's the person who gets his arm cut off in Star Wars. That was actually kind of a quick shot. So I reckon that's maybe meant to be Ponda Baba. So we're getting a prequel to Ponda Baba, who gets his arm cut off quite famously in Star Wars, and then he makes a really random cameo in Rogue One, a planet which is like seconds away from being destroyed, but not planet, but a city, but seconds from getting destroyed by the Death Star. Presumably he gets off just before it happens. Gotta stop being so fast. I think this is Ahsoka attending Padme's funeral. So this is probably Ahsoka on Naboo. This looks like the scene we saw at the beginning that was Padme's funeral, and I think these are Nabooans. So this kind of reveals Ahsoka. So we're going to see Ahsoka at like wildly different parts of her life, and this is probably like the next part we see her after the end of the Clone Wars. Then we see a younger Dooku and Qui-Gon fighting side by side.
I'm tired of fighting.
I think again that's a younger Dooku. I think. And then we see here Ahsoka talking about being tired of fighting, and again I think this is probably like, I think we see her during different stages of her kind of Clone Wars career. This is Rex, but this looks like a very late stage Rex as well. Like, I don't know if I can tell from like how many notches are on his helmet, but this looks like a kind of a veteran Rex. But then again, maybe not, because when if these shots are meant to be like one to the other, Vino trailers can manipulate the chronologically of things, and I guess it's kind of early on in the career. I guess she gets kind of stunned here. I don't know. Coruscant. Here we see a Obi-Wan who isn't in the cast list and has hair that's longer, so it looks more like the start of the Clone Wars kind of hair, but I think it's actually longer than we see his hair in the Clone Wars in the animated show. So I guess it's an interesting bit of miscontinuity. Unless he kind of grows out, she cuts it and grows out again. I know he used to be Yoda as well, very much resembling his Clone Wars look, probably Yoda didn't age much at this point in his life. And here we see a funeral. I'm not sure whose funeral this is meant to be. Possibly Qui-Gon's, like part of Qui-Gon's funeral. But no, but they traveled to Naboo for that, and we didn't see. I mean, maybe they're retconning Qui-Gon's funeral to have Christopher Lee, to have Count Dooku in it. It might be someone else's funeral. Not entirely sure. Like, if we can tell from who's present. I don't think this is Naboo. This looks more like a Jedi temple, so. But we know where they burnt Qui-Gon's body in Naboo, so it's unclear what's really happening here.
I've been warning them.
I mean, we know from Kenobi's fake funeral that this whole kind of beam of light thing happens when it sends into the ground when they do the funeral, and a beam of light kind of appears. So that's certainly what's happening here. Yeah, I'm struggling to place where this happens. but obviously Dooku's like, "Roar, disillusioned." Not sure who that is. It looks like Dooku's model, but I don't know if it is Dooku's model. Those are like kind of fast scenes. I don't think it is. This looks okay. This is an Inquisitor. Not sure which Inquisitor this is. So this might very well be actually the time where Ahsoka gets her white lightsaber. So I believe what Ahsoka does is obviously she leaves her blue lightsabers behind. Anakin finds, and then between that and the next time we see her, she has white lightsabers. And white lightsabers, what happens when you purify bleeded sabers. So I think what I read is that she actually defeated an Inquisitor, took the Inquisitor's crystals, and then made them pure again, and that's how she made the new lightsabers. So I suppose that's what we're seeing here.
Pays off.
And then that's Dooku fighting Yaddle, who is the only other member of Yoda's species, apart from obviously Grogu that we see. I don't think it's well, actually, maybe this is Yaddle's death, because Yaddle kind of disappears randomly, unless Yaddle has a canonical death. But Yaddle kind of disappears. She's been after Phantom Menace. I think actually there is a canonical death for Yaddle. Let me just kind of see. Okay, so it's not. There's nothing in canon about Yaddle's death. So possibly she actually gets killed by Dooku. But obviously like, no one knows that because no one thinks that Dooku turned evil. They only think he left the order. And that might be part of Dooku's kind of initiation, because I believe, I don't know if it's still canon, but at some point to become a Sith Lord you have to kill your best friend to like prove your loyalty to the Sith. I think in Legends continuity, he killed his old master, who was the same person, I think Sith or what his name is, who was the same person who like was name was put down on the clone order at Naboo, Kamino rather. So maybe it's changed slightly here. But this is Ahsoka fighting. She's fighting an Inquisitor, and she's not using a lightsaber. So this is probably the Inquisitor she gets a lightsaber after. Again, here we see Yaddle fighting. So it's kind of nice of getting more Yaddle kind of thing here. And this is Dooku. This is basically presumably disarming Dooku before you can like execute this person. So again, part of Dooku's dissolution.
And who might you be?
Star Wars Tales of Jedi, October 26th. So it's a bunch of like anthology shorts. Definitely interested. Definitely excited to see kind of more backstory and canon of what certain of these characters went through. Obviously, some of these are already in Legends, but it's kind of nice to see a more kind of consolidated, confirmed version of things. Yeah, looks exciting. So yeah, let us know what you think. I'm now gonna move on to the Andor trailer. So I will see you guys in a couple of seconds for that.